Donald Trump has stunned the international political sphere by doing something that no one expected and that no British Prime Minister has experienced in modern history. In the middle of a high-stakes diplomatic call with UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer, Trump pressed the mute button and allowed Starmer to continue speaking into silence while the split-screen broadcast displayed Trump sitting back with an expressionless face, creating a moment so humiliating that analysts, journalists, insiders, and allies across both nations have been scrambling to figure out what it means for the future of the world's most famous political partnership. According to individuals familiar with the call, Starmer had been delivering a detailed explanation about intelligence coordination under the Five Eyes alliance, emphasizing Britain's commitment to shared security frameworks, when Trump allegedly muted him without warning. Starmer continued talking, clearly unaware that he had been cut off, while Trump remained motionless, giving the impression that he had lost interest or had decided that the conversation no longer served his strategic purposes. This was not a technical glitch or a misunderstood pause. Sources describe it as intentional, symbolic, and designed to send a message both to Starmer and to the global community about the shifting power dynamics between Washington and London. What makes this event especially important is the fragile political position Britain is currently in. Starmer's Labour government has been under intense scrutiny due to ongoing crises involving border failures, difficult relationships with the European Court of Human Rights, rising crime rates, widespread criticism over housing migrants in hotels while British veterans struggle with homelessness, and fears that the country is losing control over its own laws and sovereignty. Trump, newly re-elected and supported by a resurgent nationalist movement in the United States, has made it clear that he will not entertain what he views as indecisive leadership, soft governance, or political posturing that does not result in tangible national strength. Whether people admire Starmer or oppose him, the reality is that this mute button incident was a public blow to Britain's image, exposing weaknesses that have been building for years through multiple governments. This moment is not simply about Trump's personality or Starmer's misfortune. It reflects a deeper global shift in which nations are reassessing alliances, questioning leadership competence, and demanding clear demonstrations of authority. Britain finds itself trapped between legal obligations it cannot escape and public pressure it cannot ignore. On one side, the European Court of Human Rights continues blocking deportations of migrants, even in cases involving criminal behavior, citing human rights protections. On the other side, thousands of British veterans, the very individuals who fought in Northern Ireland, the Falklands, Iraq, and Afghanistan, struggle with limited resources, insufficient support, and in some cases homelessness, while billions of pounds are spent on asylum processing, hotel accommodation for migrants, and ongoing legal battles with European courts. The emotional weight of this contrast has fueled public anger, political division, and a growing belief that the country's priorities have been inverted. Starmer's strategy has been to present himself as a balanced, modern leader who can rebuild Britain's global credibility while maintaining domestic stability. He tries to reassure international organizations that Britain is still cooperative and progressive, while telling voters he will be strict on borders and serious about national security. But Trump's decision to mute him in front of the world showed that the United States sees through this attempt to satisfy both sides and believes Britain's actions do not match its rhetoric. Social media erupted instantly. Hashtags like #StarmerMuted, #TrumpVSStarmer, and #Special Relationship began trending globally within minutes. Memes showed Starmer talking to an empty screen, jokes compared the incident to schoolyard humiliation, and political commentators on both the left and right debated what this means for the future of UK-US relations. Even Labour insiders reportedly reacted with shock and frustration. Some MPs privately expressed concerns about whether the relationship with Washington had been badly damaged, while others questioned whether Starmer has the resolve to lead the country through international tensions. Within Westminster, the reaction has been chaotic. Deputy Prime Minister Angela Rayner is said to be extremely angry, though it remains unclear whether her anger is directed at Trump for disrespecting the Prime Minister, or at Starmer for mishandling the call. Health Secretary Wes Streeting has reportedly distanced himself from the situation, telling allies that this communications disaster could have been prevented with better preparation and more assertive leadership. Backbench Labour MPs have begun quietly discussing the possibility of future leadership challenges, not immediately but eventually, because this incident has created doubts about Starmer's strength and long-term viability. These discussions are significant because Labour did not win the last election with overwhelming enthusiasm. Many voters supported Labour mainly due to frustration with the Conservative Party's decline, instability, and repeated scandals. That means Starmer's government lacks a deep foundation of public loyalty, making him more vulnerable to crises like this. Trump's mute button has now become a symbol of deeper geopolitical issues. Trump is not known for subtle diplomacy. He believes in power, leverage, and showing dominance to set the tone for negotiations. By muting Starmer, he sent a message not only to Britain but to Europe, China, Russia, and other observers that the United States under his leadership will not tolerate what it perceives as weakness or inconsistency. This moment also highlights a critical challenge. Britain's position in the world is changing. It is no longer the global empire it once was, nor does it dominate international markets. Its influence now depends heavily on intelligence cooperation, military alliances, and diplomatic relationships, particularly the special relationship with the United States. If that relationship becomes weaker, Britain risks becoming just another mid-sized European nation with limited sway on global affairs. Trump's mute button was essentially a warning: strengthen your internal leadership, restore control over your policies, and project confidence, or the United States may deprioritize its partnership with you. Beyond the international stage, this incident has amplified domestic frustration. Many British citizens feel ignored by politicians who prioritize international approval over national needs. They point to examples such as veterans sleeping in doorways while migrants are placed in hotels, criminals avoiding deportation due to legal protections, and everyday people being arrested for social media posts while foreign offenders remain in the country. These perceptions, whether perfectly accurate or not, have created a belief among large portions of the public that the country's values and priorities have drifted far from what ordinary citizens want. Even individuals who disagree with controversial figures like Tommy Robinson recognize that he warned about issues involving borders, public safety, and cultural tensions years before the establishment acknowledged them. The point is not endorsing his views, but recognizing how long political leaders ignored signs of growing public anger. This muting incident, trivial as it might seem on the surface, has tapped into the frustration of millions who feel the British government has become reactive instead of proactive, symbolic instead of practical, and concerned more with optics than outcomes. It also raises concerns about how Britain's leadership will respond to future challenges from powerful world figures like Vladimir Putin or Xi Jinping if it struggles to command respect from its closest ally. Without decisive leadership, clear policies, and strong national confidence, Britain risks being overshadowed, sidelined, or taken advantage of on the global stage. This is why commentators say the mute button was not just a moment of disrespect, it was a moment of exposure. It revealed the vulnerabilities of a government that has not fully consolidated its authority, and a country struggling to balance international obligations with domestic reality. Analysts are still debating whether Trump intended to provoke such a reaction, or whether he simply acted impulsively, but either way, the consequences are the same. Britain appears weakened, Starmer appears shaken, and the world is watching. In the days following the incident, many citizens expressed anger, disappointment, or embarrassment over how Britain looked on the international stage. Thousands voiced concern that their prime minister could be muted, ignored, or dismissed by a foreign leader without any strong response. Many believe the UK needs leaders who will defend national interests assertively, support the people who serve the country, uphold border integrity, and restore confidence in the justice system. This situation is not about left versus right, Brexit versus Remain, or Trump versus Starmer. It is about competence, sovereignty, leadership, and dignity. Without these qualities, no nation can thrive or maintain global influence. The public wants leaders who put their country first, not leaders who chase approval from foreign institutions or attempt to maintain an image of progressiveness while failing to deliver practical results. The narrator concludes by urging people not to forget or dismiss what happened, because political establishments often expect the public to move on from scandals quickly. But this incident symbolizes something larger: a shift in global power, a decline in British confidence, and the beginning of a new period of political struggle in which citizens must decide what kind of leadership they want. The message is clear: Britain is at a crossroads, and the world will not wait for it to catch up.